Hi guys, I'm Stacy with HandmadeByStacyJ. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do the No Purls About It Infinity Scarf. This is a pretty simple scarf. I have it listed as easy-ish because there is a little bit of cabling, which you can do without a cable needle, and there's some elongated stitches or extended stitches. What we're going to need for this scarf is just a few materials. So I used only one hank of the Knit Picks Muse fingering weight yarn, and this is in the color Savvy. Now this holds 123 yards, 100 grams, and it's made of 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. This is a fingering weight yarn, so it's nice and thin, but don't let it fool you. It's actually quite cozy, quite warm, and it's also reversible too. Now you're also going to need a tapestry needle for weaving in your ends, a measuring tape, 2 stitch markers, these are totally optional, and then a US size 7 or 4.5 millimeter knitting needle. Now you could get away with doing this on long straight needles, however I do it with the cable because even though you only cast on 48 stitches, there is one row where you're creating this cabling effect right here. I wouldn't say cabling effect, but the elongated stitch. And by doing that, you wrap your yarn 3 times. So you want to have enough room on a needle to be able to handle that. You can also grab a cable needle if you like, or if you'd like to start off with one and then maybe try the technique that I show you. But I didn't use a cable needle at all for this scarf. Now this is generously sized. It's about 80 inches long by 9.5 inches wide. And that's before you seam it, because you work it flat as a rectangle and then you just seam the ends when you're all done with it. Now before we get started, please remember to like and subscribe. And you can find the free written pattern to view on my website at www.handmadebystacyj.com. So grab your yarn, grab some needles, and let's get started. The stitch pattern for this infinity scarf is very simple to do. It's worked over a 4-row repeat, and there are absolutely 0 purls in this entire project. It's also very easy to memorize, which makes this a perfect on-the-go kind of project, and it just uses the one skein. Now this is the right side here, and then you can flip it and see that it's completely reversible so that you have the same on each side. Now there is a garter edge on each side of 3 stitches, and that just holds your little cables together. And I'm going to show you how to do this without the cable needle. Now to begin the scarf, I used the long tail cast on method, and I cast it on 48 stitches. Now if you would like a more narrow scarf, or if you would like it wider, this pattern works in increments of 6. So each of these little cable areas right here, they are 6 stitches. So if you want it more narrow, you can subtract in increments of 6. This one has 7 repeats of the cables, so say if you wanted just 5, then you would cast on the 30 for this, so that's 5 times 6, and then you'd add on 6 for your border edge, so 3 for each side. So you would cast on 36 for that. But for this scarf, for this size, I cast it on 48. For row 1, we are simply just going to knit across. So after you've cast on your stitches, you will just make that first row knit only. So just knit across, and remember, after you do your first 3 stitches, place a stitch marker to indicate where that border is. And then you just knit across, and when you get to those last 3 stitches, place 1 more stitch marker. And I will meet you at the end of this row. I'm coming up to the end of row 1, and I have 2 stitches left before I come to the stitch marker. So here we have the stitch marker and then those 3 left. So just make sure you put a marker there. This is just for keeping track to make it a little bit easier for you. And then we're going to turn our work. For row 2, we're going to do something just a little bit different. That's going to create this, it's considered an extended open work. I've also heard it called an elongated stitch. But we're going to begin just by knitting these first 3 stitches. Just get that border taken care of, and make sure not to go too tight when you're working on those edge stitches, because you want to be able to let them get a little tall as well. Okay, now I'm going to slip my marker. Now how we're going to do each stitch across is we're going to insert our needle as if to knit, but then we're going to wrap our yarn 3 times around the needle. After you've wrapped it 3 times, then pull it through that stitch and slide it off the left-hand needle. So let's do that again. We're going to insert the needle, wrap the yarn 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then pull it through. And you'll see that you have those 3 loops on that needle. And this is going to get a little bit bunchy, so this is why you want to make sure that you're using a nice long needle or a needle with a cable. So you're going to do this with every stitch across till you come up to that stitch marker. So insert that needle, wrap it 3 times. Whoops, 1, 2, 3. And one thing that I do that helps me is I make sure that when I insert the needle, I go all the way in so that you're using this part of the needle and not the tips. Because if you use just the tips, it's going to get really tight and it's hard to work in with the next row. So we're wrapping it 3 times and then pull it off. 1, 2, 3. Finish that stitch, pull it off. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to continue doing this across until I get to the stitch marker, and I'll meet you at that point. I'm coming up to the end of my row before I get to my stitch marker. Just 2 more stitches to go. That's 1 and 2. I'm going to slip that stitch marker, and then when you get to these last 3, just knit. 1, 2, 3. And then you'll see that you have just a bunch of stitches on this needle now, or on this cable. So now let's begin row 3. Now for row 3, I'm going to show you how to create these cables without using a cable needle. And it's actually very, very easy. And that's what makes this a great on-the-go project, because you don't have to worry about losing your cable needle in your lap while you're, passengering in a car or in an airplane or anything. Okay, so these first 3 stitches, go ahead and knit those. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to slip that stitch marker. And this is where it gets interesting. So I'm going to bring some of my stitches up because these start coming off the needle pretty quickly. Now, purl-wise, you're just going to slip 6 stitches, and you're going to let these extra wraps just kind of unwrap. So just like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we have 6 of them that are hanging out on the right-hand needle. We're going to take our left-hand needle and get those first 3 that we slipped. So working in front of the last 3 we just slipped, we're going to insert our needle into those. And then we're going to hold those up towards the front and remove our right-hand needle. Now these 3 here are just kind of hanging out, but they are essentially being held to the back of our work. So we're going to put those back onto our right-hand needle. Okay, see, we have a bit of an X right there. Now we're going to place those back onto our left-hand needle, just like so. Now I use my thumb to help hold everything into position. So that way nothing's getting twisted or dropped or anything. And you should have 6 stitches total that you just pulled off and just basically rearrange the order of where the yarn is. So now you're just going to knit those 6 stitches. So we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, and then the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. And you should have a neat little cabled X. So let's try that one more time so I can show you again. We're going to slip the next 6 stitches purlwise. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we have these all back onto our right hand needle. Take that left hand needle and just insert it into those first 3 that you slipped. Remove that left hand needle and then insert that left hand the right hand needle. Insert the right hand needle into those 3 that are held to the back, and then put those back onto your left hand needle. And then knit those 3. 1, 2, 3, and then knit those first 3 that were moved back to that left hand needle. And then there's your second little X. We'll do this again. So slipping these these next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looking at what we have here, we'll take these first 3, hold those with that left hand needle, remove the right hand needle, and insert it into those 3 that are at the back. Place those back onto the left hand needle, and then knit those 3. 1, 2, 3, and then knit the next 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's how you work your way across until you come up to the stitch marker. So I'm going to walk you through this one more time. We're going to slip those 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we'll grab those first 3, pull out that right hand needle, insert it into those 3 that are held into the back, and place those back onto the left hand needle. And then knit those 3. 1, 2, 3, and then knit the next 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, so I have 3 more to go. So when I come up to this last one, I will meet you for that one. I'm on my very last cable here. So I'm going to slip those next 6. And 6. Then I grab those first 3, slide those off, slide the right needle into those 3 that were just hanging out, put those back on the left hand, and knit those 3. And then knit the last 3. Then we're going to slip our stitch marker and just knit those last 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. And that's it for row 3. Now you should have, if you cast on the 48 stitches, you should have 7 total little cables that are on your scarf. So now we're going to turn our work. And then we're just going to knit across. So just knit those first 3. 1, 2, 3. Slip that stitch marker, and then knit across. Now I'm coming to the very end of that 4th and final row. I'm going to slip my stitch marker, and I'm knitting those last 3. And then that is it for the stitch pattern repeat for this scarf. So continue repeating rows 1 through 4 until you have about 10 to 15 yards of yarn that remain, or until you're to the length that you'd like. Then you will bind off knitwise and use that tail that is left over to sew the short sides together. The way you'll do that, very simple. You'll just take each of your short ends like you have right here and here, and you'll end up sewing them together, and then you have your infinity scarf. Now I do recommend blocking before you do the sewing, because for my thought process is that it just dries quicker than if you have an infinity scarf where you have 2 layers of fabric. So it just makes it easier, and then the lace opens up nice and pretty. And that's it for this scarf. I do hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you later with more patterns and tutorials. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye.